You don't need more time. You need guts. Guts to take action. Guts to start before you're ready. All right. Welcome back to the Leaders Realm podcast, guys, where every episode we break down the mental barriers that hold us back and build up the foundations to move us forward. I'm your host, Tony Camerata, and today we're going to dive into a topic that cuts really deep, maybe uncomfortably so, but it's exactly the kind of conversation that real growth demands. We're talking about the difference between being an entrepreneur and a wantrepreneur. You see, one builds, the other pretends. One produces and the other plans endlessly. And here's the thing. You can't fake momentum. You either have it or you don't. And today we're going to talk about what's separating the builders from the posers. Now, I know this episode sounds like it's going to be targeting business owners specifically, but it's important to understand that what I'm covering, it applies to all aspects of life, whether it's fitness, health, volunteering, your relationships, employment, you name it. So if you're not a business owner, it's okay. Hang out with me. This is some great stuff. This episode isn't about bashing anyone either. It's about holding up a mirror. It's about getting brutally honest with yourself. Because the moment you stop lying to yourself is the moment you start building something real. So sit back, grab that coffee, and let's make some changes. The illusion of action. I want to start today by calling out something that it needs to be said more often. You see, being busy doesn't mean you're building anything that matters. You can be drowning in tasks, to-do lists, meetings, planning sessions, and you're still going absolutely nowhere. There's a dangerous lie that we tell ourselves when we confuse motion with progress. It feels like we're making moves, the calendar's full, the email inbox is buzzing, the desk is a mess with sticky notes and the whiteboard scribbles. But when you zoom out and actually look at the outcomes, the products launched, the customers served, the money that's in the bank, there's nothing to show for it. That's the illusion of action. Wantrepreneurs, they live by that illusion. They've mastered the look of entrepreneurship. Their aesthetic is on point. They've got vision boards filled out, magazine cutouts, affirmations. They've got a stack of books that they've highlighted and bookmarked to death. But they haven't implemented a single word of it. Their workspace, well, man, it's just Instagram worthy. They know all the buzzwords. They know how to talk the game. Oh, we're building something disruptive. We're in stealth mode right now. Beta's coming soon. Well, soon, guys, soon becomes later. Later becomes never. They spend months crafting the perfect pitch deck, never pitch anyone. They change their logo 5 times, 6 times, but they never build a product. They go to every single networking event in town. They never follow up with a single person. They post motivational quotes and hashtag them with grind mode, entrepreneur life, but they're not grinding and they're definitely not shipping. Let's be real. They're actors in their own startup theme reality show. And the only audience is themselves. Straight up posers. But they're the CEO, the COO, the hot shot in the room. You know them. You've met them. Now let's contrast that with the real entrepreneurs, the builders, people that are making things happen in their lives. These are the people who don't have time to make things look pretty. Why? Because they're focused on making things work. They're not reworking the color scheme on their landing page for the 10th time. They're making cold calls. They're testing offers. They're fixing bugs. They're handling real problems. While Wantrepreneur is stressing over which productivity app they're going to use, the entrepreneur is putting out fires before breakfast, answering customer emails during lunch, finishing a proposal at midnight. They're in it. They're in the game. It's messy. It's not aesthetic, but it's real. Because here's the hard truth. No one cares how busy you are. The market doesn't reward effort. It's not going to give you a participation trophy. It only rewards outcomes. You don't get paid for your hustle. You get paid for your results. And what makes the illusion so dangerous is that it feels like you're progressing. When you're knee deep in planning, optimizing, organizing, it gives you the dopamine hit of productivity. You can spend 8 hours building a content calendar, mapping out a product roadmap, and convincing yourself how you crushed the day, when in reality, you haven't moved an inch. The needle hasn't moved at all. You see, planning is easy. Execution is painful. And because we instinctively avoid discomfort, many people unconsciously use busyness as a shield to avoid doing the real work, the uncomfortable work, getting in the trenches, getting dirty, the work that actually builds something. It's the difference between preparing to do the work and actually doing it. The wantrepreneur wants to feel like they're in motion. The entrepreneur, on the other hand, knows that motion means nothing without direction and traction. Let me break it down a little bit further. Color coding your planner isn't strategy. Binge watching business YouTube videos, not execution. Telling people you're working on something doesn't mean you're building anything. You're not building a business if there's no product, no customers, no money coming in, and no clear path forward. This illusion of action becomes a trap, and the longer you stay in it, the more you start to believe your own hype. You start equating your busyness with progress. You become addicted to the theater of the entrepreneurship rather than the substance of it. The truth is, most entrepreneurs, they're not lazy. They're just scared. Scared of being judged. Scared of failing. Scared of launching something and hearing crickets. So they stay in the lab forever, tweaking, researching, planning. They delay the moment of truth as long as they possibly can. But at some point, you have to face the mirror and ask yourself, am I building or am I just playing business? Am I really getting in shape or am I just going through the motions? If your calendar is full, but your business isn't growing, that's not hustle. It's hiding. If you've been almost ready to launch for the past 6 months, that's not prep, it's procrastination. Here's the difference between the two camps. Just in one sentence. The wantrepreneur is fixing to get ready to. The entrepreneur acts before they feel ready. Entrepreneurs know they'll never feel 100% prepared. So they start anyway. They launch messy. They get punched in the face by reality. They learn fast. They adjust. They're fast. They're fluid. They're flexible. They're not waiting to feel confident. They're building confidence by doing. Wantrepreneurs keep convincing themselves that just one more tweak, one more book, one more YouTube tutorial, I'll finally be ready. Spoiler alert, that moment never comes. So if this section hits a nerve, good. That means there's still time for you. There's still time to make that shift. You don't need more notebooks. You don't need more prep. You need action. Stop planning the dream and start building it. Start taking action. Forget the font, make the sales, ship the product, make the mistakes, learn. Because no one remembers the person with the cleanest planner. They only remember the person who showed up, did the work, and got the results. Let me paint a picture for you. Two people are standing on a bare plot of land. Same setting, same ambition. They both say that they're going to build a skyscraper. The first one, the wantrepreneur, pulls out his whiteboard. He starts sketching out grand visions, watches YouTube videos on architecture and concrete. And they post a photo of the empty lot with the caption, "Big things coming soon." Hashtags just loaded. The likes roll in. Congratulations. People are all fired up. The second, no announcement, no audience, just a shovel in his hand. Boots on the ground. Shows up at 5 a.m., starts digging. 1 foot of dirt at a time. Weeks pass. The Wantrepreneur's feed's glowing, inspirational quotes, dramatic angles. They're now hosting weekly mastermind Zooms, selling tickets to mindset workshops, dropping buzzwords like alignment, vision casting, quantum growth, the skyscraper. Still a concept. But the brand is strong. Meanwhile, the real entrepreneur, he's still out there in the trenches, literally. Calloused hands, missed parties, missed networking events, tight budget, long nights, no clout, but concrete's being poured, rebar's in place, first floor is framed. Then months pass, the Wantrepreneur is now building a personal brand. rebranding the project, calling it a movement. But the plot of land, still empty. More whiteboards, more theories, more content. The entrepreneur, steel beams are up, elevator shafts in place, tenants are signing pre-leases. Not talking about the building anymore. They're just doing it. A year later, it's obvious. One is still in development. The other's collecting rent on the 10th floor. Here's the truth. This was never about ideas. Both had vision. Both had ambition. The difference was follow through. One got high on hype. The other got to work. You don't build skyscrapers with status updates. You build them with sweat. So what separates the builders from the posers? It's not talent. It's not money. It's not degrees or fancy networks. It's mindset. Wantrepreneurs dream. Entrepreneurs decide. Wantrepreneurs wait. Entrepreneurs act. Wantrepreneurs consume. Entrepreneurs create. You see, Wantrepreneurs love the idea of success. They talk about it, they plan for it, they vision board it. They're always working on something, but somehow nothing ever happens. They're in love with the potential version of themselves, but allergic to the uncomfortable steps it takes to get there. Entrepreneurs, they skip the pep talk. They just do it. The Wantrepreneur says, I just need the right time, the right team, the right opportunity. The entrepreneur, I'll make it. I'll make it right. I'll make the time to make it happen. You know, I don't know how many times I hear, oh, boy, if I only had time, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. Are you a builder or a poser? See, the entrepreneur says, I'll figure it out as I go. I'll start messy, alone if I have to. You see, that's the difference. One is waiting for permission. The other gives themselves permission. Real entrepreneurs, they're not fearless. They just don't let fear win. They launch when it's ugly. They pitch before it feels ready. They're okay with version 1.0. They're okay if it's clunky. As long as there's something there, it exists. They're willing to suck. They're willing to look dumb. They're willing to fail publicly if it means that they get better privately. They don't chase the feeling of momentum. They actually build momentum. The mindset gap, guys, it's a real thing. It's the space between talking about the path and actually walking in it. And every day in small ways, you choose which side of the gap you're on. That's why I always talk about just take one step forward. Now let's talk risk. Everyone wants freedom, the dream schedule, passive income, the ability to say no to things that they hate and yes to things they love. But most entrepreneurs only want freedom if it's comfortable. They want to be their own boss, but they still expect their weekends untouched, their social life uninterrupted, their bank account stable, and their mental bandwidth completely untested. They want the outcome, not the trade-off. What are you willing to give up and sacrifice to make your dreams come true? The entrepreneur, he doesn't work that way, especially not in the early days. Real entrepreneurs understand that what they're signing up for. Late nights, early mornings, absolutely zero guarantees. They walk straight into uncertainty when others avoid it. They accept the fact that there's no steady paycheck, no one clapping when they finish a 14-hour day, and no clear path except the one that they carve out themselves. And they're not being reckless. They're being real. They know the truth. Comfort is expensive. It costs growth. It costs momentum. And many times it costs a shot at something bigger. Entrepreneurs, they want to avoid risk at all costs. And yet, they still hope that somehow, some way, they're going to win big. Entrepreneurs, on the other hand, take calculated risks, knowing it's the only way to even get in the game. And it's not glamorous. It's not always fun, but it's honest. Because here's the deal. Freedom isn't free. It costs time, effort, discomfort, uncertainty. Entrepreneurs hesitate at that price. Entrepreneurs pay it upfront, in full, no receipt. I have people say, man, I need to make some extra money. I want a side hustle, but they're not willing to do what it takes. They're not willing to put in the late nights. They like watching the news, their TV shows, what we used to call sitcoms. I don't know what they are anymore. Reality shows, comb through 80,000 pages of some kind of something that happened in history, whatever. They're spending time on social media, posting all this great stuff, and yet they're going to continuously complain. Boy, if I can only. Boy, if I can only. Just do it. This next one is big. Well, entrepreneurs are constantly chasing validation. They're floating ideas in conversations, fishing for reassurance. Hey, do you think this is a good idea? Would you buy something like this? They want the green light before they start. They're looking for comfort, not clarity. The real players, the entrepreneurs, they're chasing feedback. They don't wait for a pat on the back. They ship something when it's rough, imperfect, maybe even embarrassing. And then they ask, hey, what's wrong with this? What confused you? What needs fixing? They know not approval builds something real. Validation, guys, it's about ego. Feedback, about growth. Validation asks, am I already good enough? Feedback asks, how do I get better? Here's the difference. The wantrepreneur wants to feel like a winner. The entrepreneur wants to become one. One is looking for permission. The other one is looking for progress. If you hear someone say, I'm working on something big, and they're still saying it 6 months later, run. They're stuck, caught in a loop of planning, polishing, pretending. Pretending is a big one. They dress the dress. They drive the nice cars. They're the ones buying all the cocktails, hanging out. Oh, yeah, I'm working on something big. Well, entrepreneurs, they live in the land of almost ready. It's always next week, next month. After there's one more tweak. They treat perfection like a milestone. One that they have to hit before they earn the right to launch. But the truth, they're hiding. They're waiting for a mythical moment when everything feels just right. Here's another spoiler alert. That moment does not exist. Entrepreneurs don't wait, they launch. A clunky prototype, no frills landing page, a clunky product that barely works. I remember years ago I created this association reward/gift card program before rewards even existed in the marketplace. And my marketing piece was literally some heavy duty white construction type paper and, just printed logos glued on it. And I was walking around showing the businesses that were getting involved with this little tiny taped together piece of something. It was ugly as all get out, but you know what? It was working. It was working. So just launch, improve later. If it's ugly, good. You're doing it right. Entrepreneurs always have reasons, and they always sound convincing. Timing isn't right. The market's, the market's a little bit too crowded right now. I need more funding. My co-founder, my co-founder is not ready, and I'm still doing some market research. It's a long list. It just keeps on going. All dressed up as strategy, but really it's fear in disguise. They're waiting for conditions to be perfect. Newsflash, they never are. I keep saying that. That time doesn't come. Entrepreneurs, they don't wait for green lights. They move. They stick and they move. Even if the map isn't clear, even if the plan's shaky, they don't have reasons. They have results. Where every entrepreneur stalls, an entrepreneur ships. Where entrepreneurs hesitate, entrepreneurs are testing. Where entrepreneurs are analyzing, entrepreneurs are acting. Excuses feel safe. Execution, it's messy. But only one's going to get you anywhere. Here's another uncomfortable truth. At some point, you either build the thing or you just admit it, guys. You don't want it bad enough. There's no in between. There's no almost. There's no honorary points for intent. Ideas are cheap. Talk is easy. Execution is the tax that you pay to make anything a reality. So stop explaining why it's not done and start showing what is. What happens when motivation dies? Well, motivation is a liar. If you really think about it and you get down to brass tacks, it whispers all of these promises that it won't keep. It shows up when it wants to, makes you feel invincible, bulletproof. And then, poof, just vanishes the second things get uncomfortable. Anyone chasing a goal has felt this. But entrepreneurs, and we live it. They know better than to rely on fleeting feelings. They build routines, systems, habits. They show up when it's boring, when it's hard, when it sucks, when no one's clapping or cheering or liking their post. They keep moving forward, even when they're tired, completely uninspired, and rather be anywhere else, because they know that progress doesn't care how you feel. Then here's the Wantrepreneur. Confusing energy with effort. They work when the vibe feels right, when the coffee's kicking in, when they've got the perfect setup. They wait for motivation to strike like lightning, instead of learning to light the match themselves. They plan, they dream, they tweak, they talk. Execution? Nah, that's conditional. Discipline, guys. Discipline is the dividing line. Motivation might get you started, and most times it's needed, but it's not going to get you through. That part, that's on you. It's not about how excited you are when the idea is fresh. It's about what you do when the excitement fades, and all that's left is the work. That's where the real ones separate themselves, not in the hype, but in the actual grind. There's a huge difference between building something that looks good and building something that actually matters. Entrepreneurs are chasing the spotlight. They build for applause, validation, aesthetic. It's all about the optics, the Instagram moments, the perfectly staged hustle shots, the dopamine hit of all the likes they get, the comments, all that fake admiration. Entrepreneurs, they build for legacy. They're not performing, they're producing. This all comes down to why you're doing it. If your reason is rooted in vanity, how cool your life looks online, how fast you can flex results, you're not gonna last. Because the real journey, it's nothing like the highlight reel. It's messy, quiet, sometimes lonely. A lot of times lonely. Most of the work happens off camera, in the dark, without the fanfare. There's no shortcuts, no overnight wins, just problem after problem, decision after decision, and the other decisions that keep showing up. That's why those that are truly in it for impact, the ones who build because they have to, because the idea won't let them sleep, because the problem is too big to ignore, those are the ones who endure. They don't need the claps. They don't need the clicks. They're chasing something deeper, change, growth, meaning. You see, entrepreneurs understand. They understand that the early years are just absolutely brutal, thankless. Most people won't get that, but that's okay, because they're not doing it for the most people. The payoff isn't fame. It's freedom. It's fulfillment. It's knowing you took something from 0 to 1, that you created value, that you made something real, and you left the world a little better than you found it. That's the reason you build. Some more brutal truth. Entrepreneurship, guys, is a trap, and it's a seductive one. It feels so productive. You're brainstorming, you talk about your idea, you buy a domain, mock up a logo, slap founder in your bio, you look busy, sound serious, and for a moment, you actually believe that you're making moves, but you're not. You're just looping. Constantly getting that dopamine hit of sharing the vision, but not the pain of execution. You get the ego boost of calling yourself the CEO, the COO, but none of the scars that come from actually building. It's all surface, no substance. And here's the truth. If your actions don't lead to real progress, revenue, traction, iteration, growth, then they're just theater. The cost of staying in this cycle, it's not just wasted time. It's lost momentum, missed opportunities, eroded confidence. It's the quiet kind of regret that creeps in when you realize you spent more time talking than doing. Every day you play small, waiting, tweaking, hesitating. You're delaying your own breakthrough. You choose comfort over risk, certainly over potential, and fear over freedom. That's what you're choosing. And that choice, guys, is going to continue to compound. You don't just lose a few days, you lose years. Years that you could have spent building, failing forward, learning in the real world instead of strategizing in circles. So ask yourself, are you actually building? Or are you just playing? Because playing small might feel safe now, but it's the most expensive decision you will ever make. So enough talk, enough waiting for the perfect moment. Let's cut through the noise and let's get real. Where do you stand? Are you building something real or still daydreaming about what could be? Have you launched or are you endlessly researching, convincing yourself that you're not ready? Have you shipped or are you stuck in tweak mode, polishing something that no one's even seen? This isn't about guilt. It's not about posturing or pretending. It's about clarity. Because once you're honest about where you are, you can actually begin to move. You can course correct. You can act with intention instead of spinning your wheels. If you're sitting in the Wantrepreneur seat right now, own it. There's no shame in it. Self-awareness, guys, it's so rare and it's so powerful. Own it. But there's good news. You don't have to stay there. You can pivot in real time, today, right now. You can do one thing, just one thing that pushes you towards execution. Send that email, make that call, post that offer, build a prototype, ask for the sale. Move from consumer to creator, from thinking to building, from stuck to in motion. Because one thing's for sure, guys, the world doesn't need more people with potential. It needs people who act on it. It needs less talking and more doing. Less fear and more ownership. Less waiting and more people willing to move before they feel ready. It needs builders, risk takers, people who are willing to go first. It needs leaders. It needs you. But only if you choose to show up. So what's it going to be? Only you can answer that. Give yourself the green light. Remember, entrepreneurs don't wait for permission. They don't sit around hoping that someone is going to validate their dream. It's their dream. If it's your dream, why are you waiting for me or anyone else to validate it? Go get it. Decide. Give yourself the green light and go. Look, if you've been stuck in the Wantrepreneur cycle, if you're spinning your wheels, talking big, not seeing results, it's time to stop lying to yourself and stop moving differently. You don't need another book or another shortcut. You need clarity. You need accountability. You need momentum. If you're ready to stop pretending and start building, and you need some help, I'm here to help you. Go to my website, tonyc.coach. That's TONYC.coach. Schedule a call with me. No fluff, no pressure, just a real conversation about where you are, where you want to go, discovering what's holding you back, and how can we get you unstuck and start building for real, for success, for change. If you're serious about shifting from the Wantrepreneur mindset to the entrepreneur mindset. This is your next move. So remember, you don't need permission. You need action. Take it. As always, guys, thank you so much for spending this time with me today here in the Leader's Realm. I'm Tony Camerata. And until next time, keep pushing, keep building, and don't you ever settle for average. And always remember, stay fast, stay fluid, and stay flexible. Be the absolute best that you can be, because your best is yet to come.